Quick, smash that like and subscribe in the next 10 seconds if you want to see us set back in a little time bubble around Dusty where potentially the cube could fly through during the rifted area. Hey guys, it's postboxpat. Welcome back to a brand new Fortnite Battle Royale video, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about everything that's recently changed and also covering a few topics on why the cube will return in season 10 for a short period of time anyway. So before we get into this, if you're new around here, consider smashing that subscribe button on the channel. We are so close to 450,000 subscribers, and I actually challenge you guys to hit that subscribe button and see if you can be the 450,000 subscriber. So much love and respect to everyone who's been doing that. We're so close. Let's just support the channel out and help me out and try and get there as soon as possible. So thank you everyone who has been supporting the channel. Also, everyone using code postboxpat, shout out to you guys. As you know, I have been loving the support recently and giving you guys tons of shout outs. So here is a bunch of people who have been entering in code postboxpat, and also I am gifting battle passes and skins. I've just gone ahead and added a bunch of people, so if you guys want to be added to get a chance of winning the battle pass or skin, let me know which one you need, because a lot of you already have the battle pass. So comment your in-game name and obviously tell me that you're using code postboxpat down in the comments down below, and let me know if you need the battle pass or you just want to be gifted something from the item shop. I'll be adding a bunch from each different category and sending you guys some stuff. Anyway, let's jump into today's map change, and that actually is over at Dusty. So we've actually got one interesting thing, and this is something I wanted to discuss. We've got two huge map changes in today's video, but this is something which is interesting, and it's something that a lot of people tweeted out, a lot of people were talking about, but hasn't really been talked about too much on YouTube. And this was the glitch which happened at Dusty regarding map changes. So about a day ago now, it was yesterday, about 2 days ago, there was about a glitch at Dusty where you could actually see the beacon itself be set up. There was all these containers and stuff, and see how it feels a bit crowded and a bit kind of difficult to move around, and I wouldn't see Fortnite doing something like this. But yes, the beacon was at Dusty for a few days or so. Now what was interesting about this is because the beacon was here, it's made a lot of people think, is this area actually run by the visitor, or is it still run by a public kind of group in the Fortnite world? I personally don't think it is the visitor, and I do think this was a glitch by Fortnite, the Epic Games themselves, the developers, and they didn't mean to add this in just yet. I do think we will see this eventually be put here, but not right now. The reason I'm saying it's a glitch is because you can see all the render issues we're getting. We're getting items actually inside of other things, so I think basically they accidentally pressed the button and this area kind of skipped a stage. You can see here we've even got kind of like the storage cabinets inside of the walkway, which just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, why would Epic do that? So that's what makes me think maybe this was just a complete error, or it's something that's going to happen in a few weeks or so, and obviously they need to change up this area before that happens, but they've just accidentally kind of mistimed it and it has spawned in here. I do think Dusty will change. That's why at the start of the video I put a little screenshot of the cube itself hovering over Dusty. I do think we will get the cube maybe even coming over here, or the cube returning at some point. I'll talk more about that later in the video, but for now we're just focusing on the map changes. So yeah, you can see all these different things I'm pointing out here. Some of this stuff isn't here, some of it is. You know, when you compare these two things, this one I'm in right now to a one that was today, some of the things aren't here. The cracks in the floor are still here that I'm looking at right now, and most of the scenery is still here. It's just the stuff that's kind of like inside of each other. It's not really what Fortnite do on the map. It doesn't look right, so it was just a glitch, and that's why I wanted to cover that as a map change. But yes, it was a map change, but unfortunately it's no longer in the game. Other than that, there are no changes over at Dusty just yet, but we can expect more in the future happening here. Expect it on the channel straight away. So that's everything covered over at Dusty. Now moving over to Greasy Grove, and we actually have the visitor himself has set up another beacon over at this area. The reason it's the visitor is, as we know, the color scheme on it and the writing and everything related to it looks very similar to the visitor's pod, skin, and everything like that. I covered that in a previous video, but you guys just take my word for it. 100% it is the visitor doing this sort of stuff. Maybe he's got a little bit of a team behind him, like Omen and that. If you guys remember, Omen has recently popped into the item shop, so that's why I'm saying Omen could be a potential kind of candidate to support the visitor on this kind of big quest he's doing to destroy locations. But this leads on to me to talk a little bit further about potentially what Mega Mall could be. So Mega Mall is obviously going to take an impact with this. We're going to see something crazy happen, just like we saw at Tilted Towers. It's obviously being powered from Loot Lake. You know, in the Tilted Towers section, I'll put a little clip on it right now of the Tilted Towers one. We could see that it was being powered by Loot Lake, the source, and it beams a beacon, or like the beacon beams a light into the sky, which is then obviously transformed into something else in the area, and it actually transformed into a Wild West themed area, which was no longer being able to be built or be harvested, which was interesting, and that could eventually disappear. The portal or bubble around it may go, Neo Tilted may return, or you will be able to build and obviously destruct things will be destructive in the environment as well. So I think that will be a potential thing happening there, or it just goes back to Neo when this happens, or it'll stay and we'll get something brand new at Mega Mall. But I don't think it'll be no building or no destruction, because we've already got that at Neo Tilted. You go to Loot Lake, what have we got there, guys? At Loot Lake, we've got no gravity. So I think over here we'll see more of maybe a double pump type thing, maybe no shotguns, maybe melee only, maybe faster speed, you know, all these different ideas. I think we'll see something different in the Mega Mall section. I think it will go kind of like a cross between time. I don't think it will be fully retail. It may be when retail got destroyed by the volcano. It may be the OG retail, so maybe some of the houses are being constructed, but retail has just been set up. It may be the Christmas retail. I don't know when it will set back to, but we'll have to just wait and see what Fortnite will do with that. Okay, so moving back over to Dusty just quickly so I can show you guys what Dusty currently looks like today. There's nothing really here that's major. I just want to quickly go over this before we get into the cube theory, just to prove to you guys that there has been a change, kind of like a glitch change more like. And yeah, this is Dusty today. This is exactly what it looks like if you are going to land in a game. There is no big containers in here. There is no flood or kind of glitched kind of things going through different objects. It's just the standard Dusty that it's been for about a week or so, with a little kind of addition of these kind of equipment operator gym type things, which I don't think the visitor will be using, because when you look at him, he looks robotic, alien, not from around here. That's what makes me think the visitor has not set anything up in that area. Okay, so guys, let's move on and talk a little bit further about the potential return of the cube. So like I was saying, with Tilted Towers, if Tilted Towers was to get removed back to Neo Tilted or the OG Tilted, which I do think Tilted Town will do that, because if you look at Tilted Town right now, we're having some render issues with it. I know it's only just recently been added in, this will probably be patched, but if at some point they go, hold on, the bubble around it, or orb, whatever you want to call it, the rift around it suddenly just disappears and something else appears here, for example maybe the original Tilted or Neo Tilted, that again makes me think if this does happen, this will be a huge indicator that the cube will return. Because what Fortnite will do for the cube to return is they will have it return in a region. For example, the Dusty region where we saw it floating around, they could have the cube like come in there and maybe half of the divots there, maybe not all the divots there, because maybe the bubble's only rendering in half the divot. It hasn't rendered in the full divot because the kind of the portal / rift, the bubble, whatever you want to call it, isn't big enough for the whole of Dusty. So I think if that was to happen, we may see even part of the cube, Loot Lake Island, flying around for a temporary amount of time, and you can gain access to that by going in that section. I do think this is something that Fortnite will consider, and something that would be pretty cool. We can see with the spawn island itself, they just go crazy. It's like there's a crossover between everything, and this is the sort of thing that could happen in these rifts for some of the other locations returning. For example, Lazy, Anarchy, all them things. I think we'll get a lot of crossovers there, with even a potential cube element returning in certain sections. And that's why I do think at some point this season, we may not see the cube itself, but we're going to see parts of the cube, bits of the cube, things that the cube has done to the map. Well, kind of. When I say that, I guess the cube has done everything to the map almost, because it all kind of came from that original Visitor rocket launch. But when I say that, I kind of mean like bits that the cube has kind of maybe left behind, like its tiers, and maybe even like the little kind of jumping areas that we saw in the season of the cube, the little, I like the geysers, the purple geysers that spring you up into the sky. We may even see parts of the cube left behind that will give you energy, a little bit like the smaller cubes that we see at the current block that you can get in creative. I think that's the sort of thing we'll see. So some interesting stuff going on right there with the cube. I'm just flying around on Spawn Island right now so you can get a rough idea of what I mean by these crossing zones, and this is where the cube could appear in one of these cross type zones, time travel areas. I know with the Neo Tilted transforming to Tilted Town was a very kind of, you know, this is what's going to happen, this is what happens. But I think the Retail Row one at Mega Mall will be a little bit different. I think it'll have a few crossovers, and it won't just be Retail Row. I think they'll do something different with it to make it a little bit more interesting than Retail Row, because technically Mega Mall's only been in the game for 1 and a bit seasons. So I think if they were to just completely go back to retail, the attention wouldn't be as good as if they were to go you know, here's Retail Row, but here's a twist on it. A little bit like they did with Tilted, and obviously they set an ability in there that may be different, faster speed, like I was saying before. I think when Mega Mall does that, it'll be interesting, but also with Greasy Grove side of stuff, they could just bring back Greasy and the hype would be there, because Greasy's had a lot of hype since it went. It's been gone since season 7, so when Greasy does return, the hype wouldn't need to be, like, they wouldn't need to change anything because people are just excited for it. And that's the same with other locations like Risky. I don't think people will be bothered about that fully returning. People will be really hyped about that. Other locations that are similar to that as well, we've seen, you know, Anarchy and Lazy. A cross between them would be pretty nice because the hype for them isn't really there compared to, you know, Risky, because Risky and Greasy, I don't know why, but the hype for them is just really high. It really is crazy. And then Tomato Town as well would be a location where the hype would be pretty high for as well, and Motel. So that's my opinion on all that sort of stuff. Another bit of evidence which I've got for the cube returning is this on screen right now. So the battle pass in Fortnite Battle Royale seems to have some of the different references to the cube. So let's jump into the battle pass and I'll show you guys some stuff right now. You can see here we have on battles pass tier 26 some references to the butterfly event and the cube, so potential a link to it returning in Fortnite right there. Then as we keep going through the battle pass, we also see more references to stuff like this. We see references to old skins. I think all the skin references are relevant to the skins that we currently have in the battle pass, because, like, for example, we see the space skin here, but when you go through the battle pass, you know, we have that kind of like variant of the space skin here. So I don't think the skin things that relate to kind of like anything to do with the map. I think they only relate to the actual skins in the battle pass. So as I keep going through, you can see here Wild West theme emblem that relates to potential return of the skins, and obviously the Wild West zone, which we had return when Neo Tilted changed to Tilted Town. Then as I keep going through, we can see we have even a Kevin Ruins, which was there on tier 58, and again another reference to Kevin the Cube returning in Fortnite Battle Royale. We even have a Kevin the Cube rap. Again, another reference to Kevin returning. A great rap, by the way. Highly recommend using it once you've unlocked it. It's a really nice one. We have this weird type of cube slash sun type thing. I don't know what that is, but it may mean something for the season 10 X/X event. But yes. And I keep going through, I look at a few things, I don't see too much. We see the volcano eruption in the loading screen, I don't think that's relevant to anything, and I just keep going through. And this is what I usually do every season. We see the Black Knight, again, this could lead to a reference back to Wailing Woods returning. I don't think that would be the case, but we'll have to just wait and see if that will be the actual case on that side of stuff. And also, maximum drifting, I think that's just a reference to Drift himself from season 5, or the recent Drift which we've had. So, you know, we see stuff in here like the eggs, again, a reference to that, potentially could happen in the map change. The rocket, we may see that again in the event. We may see all this sort of stuff returning, and this is why I think, you know, Moisty, reference to that returning this season. You can just tell by the battle pass what's going to happen. So really awesome stuff, and you know, I'm really excited for all this sort of stuff going on. This is quite a cool one because it kind of reminds me of maybe an event that we could get versus like a Kraken type monster, which I doubt, but it's nice. And again, another cube reference right there. Also, when you take a look at the season 10 trailer, which I've put on screen for you guys right now, we can see right here, we see the actual cube itself in the trailer. I think everything that we've seen in the trailer, we'll see at some point in Fortnite. It's just when they're going to put it, how they're going to do it. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, this has been a really exciting video, and it's why I think the cube is going to return in Season X at some point. No, I don't think it's going to return permanently. You know, then people saying, Pat, you keep saying this, and you're talking about it quite a lot. It's because I do think the cube will return. It's daft of them not to. We're in a season right now where anything can happen. The time is stopped, teleportation, time travel, all this sort of stuff is going on. So it's clear to me that Fortnite will bring back the cube at some point, but only for a short period of time. And evidence of this will soon come more and more, as obviously we see what happens with Tilted Town. Will it stay? Will it go? Will the bubble disappear? And obviously Mega Mall, and we'll have to see what other locations get this sort of bubble around it to kind of hint towards the cube returning. I'll keep mentioning the cube throughout the season because I do think it is something that will happen this season. It's a major part of the Fortnite storyline, and it could come back at any point depending on what time the visitor sets back his kind of orb type thing. For example, we could be just chilling in the map, and then the orb itself, suddenly the actual cube island floats through. Like it could float through the orb, and as it's going through the orb towards the end of it, it could slowly start to disappear, because obviously that orb is kind of reflecting that point in time. So once the island has moved, it's gone. But it may be there, say, for 5 days. It could float through for 5 days, and then after them 5 days, it's not there, but the bubble's still there, because it's kind of like reflecting that point in time. I think that's something we will see. And if you've made it right to the end of this video, comment down below floating cube. And yeah, it's really awesome to see you guys making it right to the end. Thank you very much. Much love and respect to everyone. If you want to stick around for content like this, hit that subscribe button. I produce daily Fortnite content covering a variety of different content, from map changes, storyline, tips and tricks, challenges, and a lot more. You're going to see that all on the channel just by smashing that subscribe button and also hitting that notification bell. Thank you guys for watching the entire video. And once again, this is postboxpat, signing out.